So this is going to kick off the conference.
I have a gift for you.
Look at that. Lacàph signature cold brew. And what happens if I drink this? Do I grow wings? Do I get to be a superhero?
You'll become an even better presenter today.
Well, that's not much because I'm horrible. Let's have a sip. If you don't have your Lacàph signature cold brew yet, listen, take 1 minute, run over there, get it, then run back. All right. As I said earlier, these scripts really don't matter to me.
Sure.
I've known you for about 8 years.
Right.
And I've known that you came to this country as a young person. What do you think has been one of your biggest accomplishments through the 15 years of being in Vietnam?
There we go.
There you go.
Biggest accomplishment. Well, I wouldn't call it an accomplishment just yet, but definitely Lacàph is the biggest project that I've ever undertaken. It's extremely ambitious. We aim to be the largest premium Vietnamese coffee brand globally by the end of this year. End of this decade, rather. This year would be a little bit ambitious. And so, we're really working hard to serve our customers here in Vietnam, but of course, more and more outside of Vietnam as well. We distribute in Hong Kong, Macau. We have direct-to-consumer in mainland China. We're in South Korea, and we're hopefully adding Japan, Taiwan, and Singapore for distribution later this year. And then, we'll continue working from there. So, Lacàph is definitely the most ambitious project I've ever undertaken. We're going to really be pushing hard in the coming years to continue our growth trajectory.
For those of you who don't know who or what Lacàph is, I will spend a few minutes and speak to us about what is Lacàph.
Yeah, so Lacàph is a products company. So we focus on coffee, 100% Vietnamese coffee. And we really work in the sort of premium segment of the market, trying to create really high quality, 100% Vietnamese coffees for high-end hospitality and retail. We really try to marry product with storytelling. So we're a lot of coffee brands I feel will try to sort of hide the farmers. We do the opposite. We really try to tell stories about the farmers, our the partner farms, the work that they do, their personal stories, because it's also really interesting to hear what farmers' lives are like, and every farmer is extremely different, has a very different approach to coffee growing, and we really marry the storytelling aspect because Vietnam is the second largest producer of coffee in the world, but only 11 in value, which is unfortunate. That's something that we're trying to improve by producing high quality branded products from Vietnam rather than exporting only as a commodity. And also Vietnam is one of the very few countries that has really a distinct and unique coffee culture of its own. So it grows its own coffee and has a unique, distinct coffee culture of its own. Italy has a coffee culture of its own, but they don't grow their own coffee. So Vietnam is really interesting in that way, where the entire supply chain exists within about 6-hour drive from each other, right? From the farmer to the consumer. And so, telling a story about that and telling a story about, cafe owners and farmers and processors, because we're able to do that, right? A roaster in the US doesn't have that unique opportunity as much because they're far away from the source of origin.
Source of beans, yeah. When you think about coffee, the most important thing in coffee is the coffee bean. How is the sourcing from Lacàph? How is that procedure taking on?
Yeah, so we try to work with small producers generally. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but because of our growth, we're definitely having to look for larger and larger farmers. But we're always direct to direct trade for Lacaf. So we source directly from farmers. We have direct contracts and relationships with farmers. That means a couple things. One of them is that we're able to have a huge influence on quality because we're able to do special projects with them. We're able to stipulate exactly the specifications on the quality, on the amount of defects per kilo, let's say, percentage-wise. And also it means that farmers are paid better because they're no more middlemen that are taking a big cut. So in doing so, they're really able to focus on quality because Vietnam is more and more transitioning. It's still going to take a while from a quantity-focused producer to a quality-focused producer.
Sure.
And in order to do that, farmers need to be at ease that they're going to be paid well.
Oh.
Right? If the mindset has always been, the more I produce, the more money I'm going to make. And we need to work with them to transition this mindset to, no, if I produce a higher quality product, I'm going to be able to make more per ton than if I produce a low quality product. But in order to get that higher quality product, you're not going to be able to produce as much. You need to cut your production. Similar like wine, right? The quantity of the grapes produced per hectare has a huge impact often on the quality as well.
Sure.
So same with coffee. We want to make sure that farmers are paid well, compensated well for their work, and also diversifying their income streams. So, for instance, we have actually last year at this conference, it was extremely popular. We have a cascara, which is a tea made from coffee cherries. So it's the fruit that grows around coffee beans, and then we dry them. Then you can steep them like any other tea. So that's additional revenue source. Another revenue source is honey. That if you have beehives that are the bees are going out to these coffee trees and collecting nectar from these coffee blossom. That's another revenue source. And then also actually encouraging coffee farmers to intercrop, which means planting other species of crops, like for instance, on the same plot of land. So for example, pepper, but you can also do cashew and other things because the crops will will be less competing against each other because each crop will be sourcing its nutrients from a different depth in the soil. Yeah. So you're going to get healthier, higher quality coffee. It's less dense. And also it's better for farmers because then they're going to be able to rely on not just one single crop for their income.
I want to give you a few minutes to speak about the coffee industry. Vietnam grows different styles of coffees, right? Different beans. There is the Robusta, Arabica. There's even some Ethiopian stuff grown here in Vietnam too, right? Why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what coffee beans you use, why, and I'll be back in a minute because I think I see something on the screen, but I can't see it from this angle.
Okay,
I'll let you talk, okay?
No worries. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the beans then. So we source from all over Vietnam. We source from up in Son La to, of course, Lam Daum, Dak Naum, Ya Lai, Dak Lak. And we really, our criteria is very much about quality and which farmers can, produce the highest beans, highest quality beans. I think the future for coffee in Vietnam is very much still in Robusta. So Robusta, unfortunately, has gained a mixed reputation in the coffee market, and that's luckily and slowly changing. Robusta farmers are working very hard to improve the quality of the Robusta because if you have a high quality Robusta, you can make a very high quality coffee. Robusta is also much more resilient than Arabica, and that's going to become more and more important as climate change impacts coffee production worldwide. Arabica is being pushed higher and higher into the mountains, meaning less space available for this Arabica crop. Robusta is being able to grow in much more diverse sort of situations. And so for that reason, Robusta is going to become globally more important. Now, what's important now is that we research and develop the Robusta bean into not only the crop or the variety itself, but also just the methods of growing it into something that can be enjoyed in specialty coffee scenarios, not just industrial coffee. So that's where we're going. And I think Vietnam is in a very good position because Vietnam produces about 94% of its production is in Robusta. So now what we really need to do is change the Robusta farms from, like I said, a quantity-oriented to a quality-oriented so that we can produce very high-quality Robustas. And if you do that, you can make amazing coffee.
Can you say Robusta one more time? It sounds so
Robusta,
sexy.
Robusta.
Any questions from the audience? If not, I will continue on my questions and answers here. Anybody who is in the coffee industry who wants to know more about not only Robusta, but Arabica?
Sure.
Anybody?
Or about the business in general, right? I mean, to be honest, I'm not really a coffee expert like a lot of the people in our booth. I'm more on the business side.
Well, I got a question then.
Sure.
Where does this idea come from? Did you see something in the market that was lacking, therefore you saw an opportunity? Or was it just say, hey, let's put Vietnam on an even bigger global stage and do it with a product that we're known for? Maybe we gotta raise the quality a little bit.
I mean, I would say, yeah, both of those things. You know, I've been in Vietnam for a while. I came here when I was 21 years old, and I'm now, almost 37. So it's been a while. I recognize that Vietnam has amazing products, but we're not really that good yet at marketing them on a global stage. You know, there are not a lot of great Vietnamese brands that are super successful abroad.
Sure.
That is changing. You know, I think there are some interesting examples like Malt Shoes or of course Maru. Brands that are finding more and more international success in retail. Lacaf wants to be part of that. I've always had a really interest in storytelling. Of course, I liked coffee, but I didn't necessarily think, coffee's gonna be the answer. You know, I looked at many different areas. Like I said, coffee eventually ended up being the right answer, in my opinion, because Vietnam is such a large producer, because coffee farmers are more and more interested in quality over quantity, and because you can tell a story about Vietnam through coffee. So, yeah, that's really where we're going. You know, we create products that tell these story, and we are very proud of the Made in Vietnam label.
Sure.
We put it on the front of every bag of Lacaf, direct trade, grown and roasted in Vietnam. And we hope that through our products, people get interested in the country. You know, when they drink Vietnamese coffee in Hong Kong or in Seoul, that they say, hey, what's this about? And they learn a little bit about farmers. They think, maybe this is something that I want to, go on my next trip.
Tourism is something that I believe we as restaurant owners, F&B specialists, we look for that market. Tourism is when people come to Vietnam, how do we as a country get the message out there that there is specialty coffee, that there is a specialty product that people want to fly? You just got more handsome, like really quickly after drinking that coffee. How do we get the tourism market to say, hey, we come to Vietnam for the amazing food, the amazing travel, but now we come to Vietnam for the amazing coffees? How do we get that message onto the world platform and saying, come to Vietnam and have some amazing coffees?
When I left Amsterdam in 2007, there was not a single Vietnamese restaurant in Amsterdam. I was back just a couple months ago, and I think there are about 13, 14 Vietnamese restaurants in Amsterdam now. from banh mi shops to fully fledged Hanoi style Vietnamese food restaurants. So that's really exciting, you know. The growth in interest in Vietnamese cuisine is immense. And that's not only happening in Amsterdam, that's happening in New York, in Tokyo, in Seoul, everywhere around the world. There's a real increase in interest and curiosity. You know, I think, you know, to answer your question though, I think it just takes time and it just takes repetition and continue talking about it. You know, we have at Lacàph space on Nguyen Công Chu. I invite everybody to come visit. Really exciting experiences for people. So we have every week people coming in, every day people coming in and doing these experiences around coffee and learning about Vietnam through our products. We had a group from Atlanta, 30 students in their senior year coming in and learning how to do fin brewing. We have
I call them Hot Atlanta.
Yeah. We have a group of teachers from Singapore coming in, asking lots of interesting questions about business in Vietnam and coffee in Vietnam. They came in and they learned how to make egg coffee. We have, I believe tomorrow, 30 engineers coming in doing something because they're here on a trip. So, you know, not only the cuisine, but obviously also the coffee. It's a great way to connect with people and to tell the story of Vietnam and get people excited.
I'm excited right now. Specialty coffee. It's a new word. It's a new trend, right? It's like the new hot buzzword. Is Lacaf a specialty coffee?
Yeah, we don't consider ourselves a specialty coffee brand because a couple things. I think that the word is starting to get misused a lot. A lot of people call themselves specialty coffee when they're not. There's actually a technical definition of specialty coffee, which requires a certain amount of points done by a Q grader, except actually a few Q graders, which are people that can test the quality of coffee. They've been certified for that. I think a lot of people are misusing the word. And also, you know, we are focused on making high quality coffees for everybody, not just people who are really into coffee.
What is your brand? What is your motto at the brand?
Coffees for the curious.
There you go.
Yeah. So I think everybody can see it on their coffee if they have a look. There's a little coffee for the curious, and you can see it on the back there.
He's such a good brander. Yeah. My God.
So coffees for the curious. So now I lost your question. What was your question?
Specialty coffee.
Yeah, specialty coffee. So, you know, I think we use specialty coffees in our coffees. We don't market ourselves as a specialty coffee brand. We market ourselves as a high quality commercial brand. Park Hyatt, you know, Marriott Group, you know, Anan, one of our good friends, Quinn's, all these great restaurants. They buy us because we're high quality and we're consistent. That's really important.
Timen, you got about 10 seconds left. What would you want the audience here to know about Lacaf?
You know, I hope that everybody can try us out and hopefully decide for yourselves if you like our products. And, you know, I also think that it's important to support the local products, right? There's no reason to be buying necessarily imported coffee beans in Vietnam, you know? We have better and better products here made in Vietnam, grown in Vietnam. It's important to really support this local effort, whether it's our brand or one of our competitors. You know, for me, of course, it matters a little bit, but you know, I hope that everybody can support local because grow local, roast local, drink local. That's the name of the game.
Brother,
cheers.
It's a pleasure seeing you, man. Thank you.
I want to give you.
Oh.
So can I say one more thing? So can we turn it down a little bit?
No, you gotta speak over it.
Okay, so I just really want to quickly say when I started Lacaf, one of the first things I did was I looked around for books about Vietnamese coffee because that's what you do, right? When you want to get into a new subject, you're gonna try to read what you can. And then I was really astonished to find that there were no books about Vietnamese coffee. So we wrote the book. So we've been working 2 years on researching, writing, taking pictures about Vietnamese coffee farmers and cafes and such. And we put this book together. So this is the book. And if you're interested in looking into it, we have a copy at the back as well. And this is your copy.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thanks, man. Thanks.